What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's me, B. Riley, and thank you for tuning in so much. Today, going to do a quick video on shaping and installing body filler plugs on that 1965 SG Junior that we've got, the John Monroe Junior. So let's get to it. If you've seen some of the previous episodes that we had with this guy, then you would already have been made aware of the fact that it was an SG Junior in 65. We know that by the neck joint, by the serial number, by a couple of other things that we've kind of gone over in previous episodes. We found the original line where we have an impact, a debris impact ring around the actual pickguard. But then we also have an aniline dye fade line, which you can see right here. The two different lines, one from the original guard and then one from the large guard, which comes in a little bit tighter. So that's basically where we are on this guy. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to make a fill plug, just using, little bits of mahogany that you can get at Home Depot and things like that. For the first aspect here is to just try to save yourself some time so that you're not really cutting things, a centimeter by a centimeter. This is kind of a neat trick that I used to use years ago. So you just take a pencil, like graphite pencil, knock a bit off onto a plain sheet of paper. Go ahead and take a piece of paper, and with two fingers on either side and then one finger down there, you just take this and you just kind of work it around. And there you go. Over a bit of block of wood, and give yourself just a good starting point. So once you get this guy out, then you go ahead and just take him, just put it right over, and you just cut it in with your X-Acto. And this will give you a good line. Now you always want to go wide, and the reason is because when you're cutting this, you're shaping this, and you're going to start to lose width on it. So you want to kind of build it out to where it's just slightly up and over. Now it's tough to see on camera, obviously, but when you actually get up close and you're holding it against the light, you can start to see your scribe lines right there and right there. Okay, so we've got our piece cut out here, and once again, I've cut it oversized. And here's the reason why. When we're cutting fast, we're using cutting discs. We're going to get blackened wood and things like that. You cannot use those to glue. You have to sand after those. It's kind of like if you've ever seen the old Japanese methodology of burning wood as an effort to protect it. It creates a sealed surface, so glued surfaces are not good there. You need to have an open grain. But we do have a good cut on the block, so at least we got something to work with. And now essentially what we're going to do is we are going to have to just constantly test fit this. So get the guitar in front of you and just cut a little bit at a time. It's kind of like the sculptors used to say. You want to find every piece of this wood that is not a sculpture, not a beautiful sculpture. You need to take away all of the outside around it and just slowly, bit by bit, test fit it over and over again into the guitar. So get the guitar in front of you, especially when it's got a slightly, odd shape to it. You can use the file to try to square it off a little bit more and to give yourself a good clean surface. But essentially, you're going to be chipping away on this little block little bit by little bit, and we're going to show you that right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop for a second here. So the plug is close, but you can see that if we're looking at this edge right here, that we can still see that it's in there. Now sometimes what you can do with this is you can actually pull the plug to the side and have it get it close enough. And you can see there, that's actually pretty close. And we've got a really good edge right over here, even without my little paper gasket. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to soften up this edge right here and right here with just a little bit of 600. And I'm going to show you how to do that real fast so that you get a good rounded edge with no frays, and then this gap will close up completely. Take this out, and you just take some sandpaper, and you just take your fill, and you rest it on its edge, and you just do 2 or 3 sweeps. Just 1, 2, 3. And then if you look, you've got a good soft corner there, and the bottom of it, the part of the plug that sits towards the bottom half of the fill, is more recessed. This means that you will have no obstructions here in which this wood can't get crushed, because you're not going to have a perfect mating surface. There's, you know, distortions there and breaks to the finish. So what you want to do is you want to kind of make the plug like a cork, where the narrowest part of it is towards the bottom, so that as it jams down into the body, that it fills in all those lines around, and the soft wood of the fill can compress slightly around any jagged imperfections and fill those perfections in nicely. You can also soften the edge depending on what you've got underneath. So if you've got a bit of wood under here, you'll get a good defined edge where you can really flat block things into a perfect square. Or if you put it over this, it means that the sandpaper then becomes cushioned and contoured, kind of like an armrest in a car, and all of a sudden you still have that abrasion, but at the same time it gives it a little bit more of a soft, kind of like a ballooned out surface. Now, what I do on these plugs is I will not sand the top half. That means the part that is going into here. This helps me keep the orientation so that I don't switch it up and accidentally change a contour. But we're gonna go ahead and see if this bad boy will fit in there now. So what you're gonna do is, like a cork, just rest it right up on top, right there. Make sure it's all the way to the side. Then, nice clean, almost submerged. Got a good edge there. This is a little high, so bring that down a bit. Okay, there you go. You can see by the side where it meets up with the wood right here that we've got a good mating surface right here. So that when we finish, we do have a slightly low spot over the wood, so we can accumulate some finish and get it down to this red. But also at the same time, it means that we'll have a nice smooth planing surface. I can drag this across there, and I only get the subtlest of notch as the wood drops away. But once we build that up with finish, then it should be about even. Okay, so now you see the other side of it, which is that as soon as this is all the way over, now this is not glued in yet, but you can see over here that we have a good clean side. This actually came out better than that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and trim that down right now. All right, so as nerve-wracking as it may be, let's go ahead and glue this thing up. Once you've got it test fitted where it's a good tight fit and the level seems good, it should be slightly lower than the finished product, because we have to lay up enough finish over this to actually get it to match the red. But the only thing is now that it's a nice perfect fit, you've got to yank it out of there. It's kind of anticlimactic. Is you want to make sure that your glue is sitting below the top half from about here down. You'll notice that my plug looks like a cork. It's tapered so that it'll drop in from the top and sit tight. This will mean that you have almost no sanding at all, which would be great because you're not going to be able to sand it properly without feathering this on accident. So this is a big step. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Make sure you keep your guys' hands clean. If you get any glue on the top, it's not too hard to get out, but if you do get a little smattering, you can just wipe that off real quick. Guys, that's what I got for you guys this week. Just kind of a quick video on how to do that fill plug. It's kind of strange, with doing fills on, old guitars and stuff like that. We kind of have this propensity of looking at it as an easy job until we're staring at this, old vintage guitar, which is staring right back at us, and all of a sudden we get a bit jumpy. But the truth of it is that when you really shake it out, it's just a guitar. So if the piece of wood that you're using as a plug fits well, and it's of a similar type of wood, and it could be glued in, and the structural rigidity can be maintained, and the guitar can be put back on the road, ready to go, then that ain't bad. So when it comes out to, those fills and that type of repair, essentially, if it looks good and it is good, it's good. You don't have to sweat it too much. What you see is what you get. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it lent you a bit of insight. Have a beautiful day. Enjoy your afternoon, and I will see you guys next week.